Hey, thanks for being here tonight. I don't know what your day looked like today. Maybe it was busy. Maybe it was one of those long days where nothing really went wrong. But you still felt a little tired by the end of it. Nighttime always feels different though, doesn't it? Everything gets quieter. The world kind of slows down. And somehow, that's when your brain decides it's the perfect time to bring up old memories. You could go the whole day without thinking about something. And then suddenly, late at night, it just shows up again. Has that ever happened to you? Like you're just lying there, about to fall asleep. And out of nowhere, you start thinking about someone you used to know. Someone who used to be part of your everyday life. Not someone famous in your life. Not someone dramatic. Just someone who used to be there. And for a few minutes, you're back in those old moments again. The conversations. The stupid little jokes. The places you used to go without thinking twice about it. And the weird part is, sometimes you're not even sad about it. It's more like this quiet feeling. Like flipping through an old photo in your mind. You're not trying to go back there. But you remember how it felt. I had one of those moments today. Nothing big happened. I was just walking past this small coffee shop downtown this afternoon. You know those places where people sit by the window with their laptops or talk for hours over the same cup of coffee? There was this couple sitting across from each other near the window. They were laughing about something. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but you could tell they were comfortable with each other. And for some reason, seeing them like that reminded me of someone I haven't thought about in a really long time. My first love, or at least the first person who ever made me feel something close to that. And it's funny, because back then, it didn't even feel like some huge life moment. It just felt like normal days. Talking after class. Walking somewhere together without really planning it. Those small, ordinary moments you never think twice about. But standing there outside that coffee shop today, watching those two people laugh at something only they understood, I suddenly remembered exactly how those days used to feel. And I guess that's what I've been thinking about tonight. So, if you don't mind, I kind of want to tell you about him. You know, it's kind of strange thinking about it now. Back then, I didn't walk around thinking, this is my first love. It didn't feel like that at all. It just felt like regular days. Like any other day where you see the same people, sit in the same places, have the same random conversations, and somehow he just slowly became part of those days. At first, he was just someone I talked to sometimes. That's all. We'd run into each other, start talking about something random, and then suddenly realize we'd been standing there for a while. And the thing I remember most is how easy those conversations felt. You know when you talk to someone and you don't feel that pressure to keep the conversation going? You're not sitting there thinking, okay, what do I say next? You just talk. One thing leads to another, then another. And before you know it, time kind of slips by. That's how it was with him. Sometimes we talk about classes, sometimes music, sometimes just dumb little things that happened during the day, nothing you'd write down or tell anyone about later. Just normal conversations. But after a while, I started noticing this small thing about myself. Whenever I walked into a room, I'd kind of glance around without meaning to. Just for a second. like my brain was checking if he was there. And if I saw him somewhere in the room, I don't know. I'd just feel a little more relaxed, like the day suddenly felt familiar. I never said that out loud to anyone. Honestly, I don't think I even admitted it to myself at the time. I just knew I liked talking to him. And little by little, those conversations started becoming my favorite part of the day. Not in some huge romantic way, just in that quiet way where you look forward to seeing someone again. Like when the conversation ends and you think, okay, I'll probably see him tomorrow. And somehow that thought felt nice. The funny thing is, while all of that was happening, I never once thought, one day this is going to be a memory. It just felt like life. Just normal days. Normal conversations. Two people talking a little longer than they needed to. And I guess that's the part I didn't understand back then. Sometimes the moments that feel the most ordinary end up being the ones you remember years later. So, I guess the easiest place to start is the classroom. That's where most of my memories of him begin. It was one of those lecture rooms that always felt a little too cold. Rows of tables, people half paying attention, half looking at their phones. I used to get there a few minutes early most days. Not because I was super responsible or anything. I just liked sitting down before the room got loud. One day I walked in like usual, dropped my bag on the table, opened my laptop. The normal routine. And a minute later, he walked in. I remember noticing him mostly because he looked like he had just run across campus or something. His hair was kind of messy, and he was still catching his breath when he sat down. He glanced over at me and said something like, "Did class start yet?" And I remember laughing a little and saying, "No, you're still safe." That was it. That was the whole interaction. Nothing about that moment felt important. We just ended up sitting next to each other that day. Then the professor started talking, people got quiet, and class went on like normal. But at some point during the lecture, he leaned over and whispered something about the assignment, asking if I understood what the professor meant. And we started whispering back and forth about it, trying not to laugh because technically we were supposed to be listening. You know how that goes. The kind of quiet conversation where you're both pretending to pay attention to the front of the room. After class ended, people started packing up and leaving. I was putting my laptop back in my bag when he turned to me and said, "So, did that make sense to you? Because I'm pretty sure I'm still confused." And I remember we ended up standing there for a few minutes just talking about the assignment. But somehow the conversation drifted into other things, like what major he was in, where he was from. That kind of normal small talk people have when they're still getting to know each other. Nothing about it felt forced though. That's the part I remember the most. It didn't feel like one of those awkward conversations where both people are trying really hard to keep it going. It just flowed. Eventually, we walked out of the classroom with everyone else and ended up standing outside the building, still talking. At some point, he made some stupid joke about how the professor explained things in the most confusing way possible. And I remember laughing way harder than the joke deserved. And that's when I noticed something. Talking to him felt really easy. Like we had known each other longer than we actually had. Not in some magical movie way, just in that comfortable way where you don't feel self-conscious about every word you say. Eventually, we both had to go to our next classes. So we did that thing people do, where you kind of step away from the conversation, but neither of you wants to be the first one to leave. He finally said, "Well, I guess I'll see you next class." And I said, "Yeah, see you." And that was it. I walked across campus to my next class like I always did. But I remember catching myself smiling a little for no real reason. Not a big smile. Just that small kind you don't even notice until later. At the time, I didn't think much about it. It was just a conversation. Just another person from class. But after that day, we kept running into each other. Sometimes before class. Sometimes after. Sometimes outside the building. And every time we started talking again, like the conversation had never really stopped. Looking back now, I think that's the moment everything quietly started. Not some huge romantic moment, just two people talking after class a little longer than they needed to. So, things kept going like that for a while. We'd see each other, talk for a bit, walk somewhere after class sometimes. And honestly, it just became part of my days. I didn't sit there thinking about it too much. I'd wake up, go to class, see him, talk. Then the day just kept moving. But somewhere in the middle of all that, something started changing. I didn't notice it right away. It was more like little things. Like during the day, something would happen and my brain would go, "Oh, I should tell him that later." And I'd catch myself thinking that. And then just continue with my day. Or sometimes I'd hear a song and think, he'd probably make fun of this song. Little stupid thoughts like that. The kind you don't really question at first. Until one day you suddenly realize he's showing up in your thoughts a lot. I remember one afternoon pretty clearly. Class had just ended. Everyone was leaving like usual. Chairs moving, people talking, backpacks everywhere. And we walked outside together. We didn't even plan it. It just happened the way it usually did. We were talking about something, I don't even remember what. Probably something dumb. We crossed the little courtyard outside the building, and most people had already gone their own way. It was one of those late afternoons where everything feels a little slower. Not quiet, exactly, but calmer. And at some point, the conversation paused for a second. Not awkward, just quiet. He was saying something about a movie he watched the night before, and I remember looking at him while he was talking. Not in a big dramatic way, just noticing him. The way he laughed at his own joke before finishing it. The way he kind of looked down for a second when he was thinking about what to say next. Little things like that. And for some reason, my brain just went really quiet for a second. Like, oh, that was the first moment I had that thought. Not a loud thought, just a small one. I think I like him. And the weird part was how quickly that thought made everything feel different. Suddenly, I was aware of things I hadn't noticed before. How close we were standing. How long our conversations lasted. Whether he looked at me when he was laughing. It's kind of embarrassing thinking about it now. Because once your brain goes there, you start noticing everything. And then you start wondering things you didn't wonder before. Like, does he feel that too? Or am I just imagining it? But I never asked him, and he never said anything either. We just kept doing what we always did. Talking, walking across campus, standing outside buildings longer than we probably needed to. From the outside, nothing had really changed. If someone watched us, they'd probably just think we were friends. But inside my head, things were a little different now. Because once you realize you care about someone like that, even small moments start to feel bigger than they used to. And I think that was the point where everything quietly reached its peak for me. Not because something huge happened, but because that was the moment I knew my feelings had crossed a line I couldn't really walk back from anymore. Even if I pretended nothing had changed, even if neither of us said anything, my heart had already figured it out. So, things kept going like that for a while. We still talked almost every day, before class, after class. Sometimes we'd end up walking halfway across campus without even realizing it. And honestly, those days were good. Really good. Not in some huge life-changing way, just simple. I'd wake up, go through my day, and somewhere in there I knew I'd probably run into him. Maybe we'd talk for 5 minutes. Maybe longer. It was never really planned. But it happened enough that it started feeling normal, like part of my routine. But here's the thing about routines. Sometimes you don't realize how fragile they are. Because one day, something small changes. And then another thing. And suddenly, the routine you got used to isn't there anymore. For us, it wasn't one big moment. It wasn't some dramatic fight or a confession that went wrong. Life just started moving. The semester was ending. People were talking about internships, new classes, summer plans. Everything felt like it was shifting a little. And I remember there were days where we didn't run into each other as much anymore. At first, it didn't seem like a big deal. Maybe our schedules just didn't line up that week. Maybe we were both busy. That happens. But then a few days turned into more days. And the little routine we had slowly started disappearing. I remember one afternoon walking out of class and automatically looking around the courtyard. Just that quick glance I always did. But he wasn't there. And that's when I realized something. There hadn't been some final moment between us. No goodbye. No big conversation about feelings. No moment where we said what any of it meant. Things had just drifted, the way life sometimes does. We still saw each other a couple times after that. Quick conversations. Hey, how have you been? That kind of thing. But it wasn't the same. You know how you can feel that? When something that used to be natural suddenly feels a little distant. Like both people know things have changed, even if nobody says it out loud. Eventually, the semester ended. People went their separate ways, different schedules, different parts of life, and little by little, he just became someone I used to know. Not someone I talked to every day anymore. Not someone I expected to see when I walked into a room. Just a memory that belonged to that chapter of my life. And the strange thing is, for a long time, I didn't think about it much. Life kept going. New classes, new people, new experiences. The world moved forward the way it always does. But every now and then, a memory from that time would pop up. Something small. A place on campus. A song we used to talk about. And I'd remember those afternoons when everything felt simple. When the biggest thing on my mind was whether we'd run into each other after class and keep talking for a while. Looking back now, I think that was the quiet ending to our story. No big goodbye. Just two lives slowly moving in different directions. And somehow, that almost feels more real than a dramatic ending ever would. It's weird, because when I think about him now, it's not like I sit there wishing things had gone differently. I don't. For a long time, I didn't even think about those days that much. Life just kept moving. You meet new people, your days get busy, and the old routines slowly disappear without you really noticing. But every now and then, something small brings it back. Like walking past a place that feels familiar, or hearing a song you forgot existed. And suddenly your brain goes somewhere it hasn't been in a long time. That's kind of what happened today. I wasn't trying to remember him. The memory just showed up. And for a few minutes, I was back in those afternoons again. Walking across campus, talking about nothing. Standing outside a building because neither of us felt like ending the conversation yet. Simple things like that. And the strange part is, those are the moments I remember the most. Not some huge romantic moment, just normal days. I think that's what surprises me now. Back then, those days felt completely ordinary, like something that would just keep repeating forever. But life doesn't really work like that. People drift into your life for a while, and then eventually they drift out again. Sometimes slowly, sometimes before you even realize it's happening. And one day, you look back and realize that whole chapter of your life quietly closed a long time ago. But the memories don't disappear. They just sit somewhere in the background. And once in a while, they come back. Not to make you sad. More like a reminder. A reminder of who you were at that time. The girl who would walk into a room and feel a little happier when she saw a certain person sitting there. The girl who didn't know yet that some moments were temporary. And I think that's the part that stays with me the most. Not the ending. Just those small moments in the middle. The conversations. The walks after class. That quiet feeling of liking someone. Before life had the chance to complicate it. Sometimes I wonder if everyone has a memory like that. Someone from years ago who still shows up in their mind once in a while. Not because you want them back, just because they were part of a time in your life that meant something. And maybe that's all some people are meant to be. Not the person who stays forever, just the person who was there when your heart was learning something new. Anyway, thanks for listening to me ramble about all that. I didn't really plan to talk about him tonight. It's funny how memories work like that. You think they're gone, and then something small brings them back out of nowhere. But I guess that's what late nights do. Things get quiet, and your mind starts wandering a little. You start remembering people you haven't thought about in years. Not because you're trying to go back to that time, just because those memories were part of who you were. And maybe you have someone like that too. Someone who used to be part of your everyday life for a while. Someone you talked to all the time. Someone who made normal days feel a little better without even trying. And then life kept moving. People changed. Paths went different directions. But every once in a while, something reminds you of them. And for a moment, you're back there again. Not to stay, just to remember. I think that's kind of a beautiful thing, honestly. Those moments happened. Those conversations happened. That version of you existed. And even if the story didn't last forever, it was still real while it was happening. So, yeah. That's my little late night memory for tonight. Thanks for sitting here with me and listening to it. Wherever you are right now, I hope the night feels a little calmer for you. Maybe after this you'll close your eyes, get comfortable, and let your mind slow down for a bit. And if an old memory shows up in your head tonight too, that's okay. Just let it pass through. All right. Get some rest. Good night.